If doctors, nurses, and grocery store clerks can wear a mask for 10 or 12-hour shifts, you can wear a mask for an hour or less when you go to the store. Do your part. Mask up, America.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Josh Hose Show. I'm your host, Rachel Wesky, and with me is the head coach of the Massillon Tigers, Coach Hose. We want to thank our season-long sponsor, Reliable Heating and Cooling. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, your Tigers are now 7-4 after picking up 2 more wins this past weekend. First up, your team beat Central Catholic last Friday night at home in a close game. Can you recap that win for us?
Yeah, it was a tough win, hard-fought win, I should say. We had Coach Creamer, a former coach of mine. We talked about that last show, coming in with his team, and they were at their full strength for the first time all year because they've had guys out with COVID and with injuries. We were with our first game without Jaden Ballard, so Jaden, our leading scorer, rebounder, steals, and assists. It's a lot to replace. So we were kind of like wondering how that would work out when we got into the game, and we had some growing pains. But we talked to the guys afterwards. Really, when we went back and watched the film, we did a lot of good things. We just didn't make shots. And when basketball is one of the sports. If you're not making shots, it's going to be tough to win. Yeah. It's the name of the game. So we shot poorly at the foul line. Our 3 points, I think 3-point line, we were like 6 of 28 or something like that, and then 8 of 17 at the foul line. And so we talked a lot about just like making the right plays, did the right things, we just didn't make the shots. And that's part of the game. If you do more of the good things, eventually, those shots will fall. So, but we made the plays. I will say this, at the end of the game, we go down 45-44. We were up, 8 or something like that, and they went on a big run. And we immediately came back and put a 6-0 run together, take a 5-point lead and close that game out. And I reflect that back to our seniors having experience of success the last couple of years and figuring out how to win games. And they made the plays when we needed to. And, we came out, with an ugly win, but it was a win nonetheless. And like we kept talking to our guys, like, we're Team 112 this year, 112th team in school history. So it's like we, now are Team 112.2. 0.5 or whatever, 0.20 or whatever, is a new version of ourselves without Jaden. So we're like a new team and we're starting out. So it's like, hey, we want to know with the new version of ourselves and moving forward. That's
good. Last Saturday, Massillon won in overtime, beating Boardman at the Spectrum Orthopedic Classic at North Canton Hoover. Tell us more about that exciting win.
Okay, so Hoover, it was kind of funny because I was just talking to Mr. Sheets about our game got changed around a few times. And we were supposed to play Boardman originally, all along. And I got an email midway through practice the other day, and this is COVID year, so this is stuff that happens, that we were switched over and going to play. They tried to get us to play Saturday, but we couldn't do that. So we were going to play Sunday against Worthington Kilbourne. Yeah. And so, then it ended up getting changed back the next day, back to Boardman. And so there's a lot of factors that went into it. But basically, we went into a game we knew was a tough team, 7-2, coming in. And I think they were 22-3 or something like the last year, in their district final or district semifinals. So we're looking forward to playing them. We knew it was going to be a tough game. And again, our guys played really, really well. They pressured the whole time. We only turned the ball over 9 times, which we were really focused on, was taking care of the basketball. And then we get into a point where, we got a stretch where we didn't make shots. But we always, like we talked to our guys after the game about, was like, you guys kept yourselves within striking distance. We kept that game within 10 points or so. And then at the end, we're down 6 points with 44 seconds left. And Barry Moore makes a 3. And, we get a tie up, get a jump ball, come back out. Tried to run a play, didn't work. Guys worked the ball around, kept moving the ball. We didn't have any more timeouts left, so they had to make a play. Grant Hanna makes a huge 3, 4 seconds left to go to overtime, and then we go to the foul line in overtime. I think we were 8-8 in the foul overtime. Just going to the foul line, making shots, and found a way to win a game. At the end of the game, we probably had a good chance of losing. But again, I go back to what we just talked about. drawing on your experience of success from the past year, having a lot of seniors that guys figured out ways to make plays. Nick's going to come on here and talk in a little bit. He was a great leader for us. Luke Sabo made some really big plays for us. Grant, you talked about, and Vari. I mean, just guys that you're counting on to make plays made the big plays for us. And it's kind of fun to see because in the past year or so, we relied on Jaden Ballard and Jaden Stock last year to make those plays for us. So it was like other guys stepping up with those opportunities and made some great plays for us.
That's great.
Yep.
We talked a lot last week about you having to learn how to play without Jaden Ballard on the floor. How do you feel your team responded with the new team dynamic?
Well, going 2-0 is a good start. And so we knew we had a 3-game stretch coming up here. It was really tough because we played Friday, we played Sunday, now we played tonight against Worcester on Tuesday. So it's like game, practice, game, practice, game. And so we said this stretch here is going to be really important for us to get off to the right foot. So tonight we have a tough game with Worcester, 7-0 team, and we're going to have to another challenge there. But to start out 2-0 without Jaden on the court, and they find a way to win both games that were like I said, they weren't the prettiest wins, but we were able to make the plays we needed to. I was really proud of our kids for responding because I think that's a huge start. If we start out struggling, which would have been understandable, it'd be really hard for them to stay with the process and trust each other. And so now we got a good start to the second half of our season, the new version of ourselves. And like I said, it's going to be fun to see as those roles continue to develop in each game, who's stepping up and playing those different spots that maybe other guys were in. And we're definitely going to need the guys to step up and provide some scoring and rebounding to replace Jaden's production.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you now to take us through a typical week of practice. For example, if it's Monday and you have a game on Friday and Saturday, what would a practice typically look like?
All right, so it's funny, we were just talking about this. Like, people don't realize what goes into a whole week of prep. So Monday, we're lucky that we get to go after school most days, and so Coach Pierce and the girls will go one gym, we go the other gym. But typical practice for us, we'll start about 3 o'clock because Coach Conklin doesn't get here from Northwest until about 3. So we try to delay practice a little bit and give our guys a chance to do study tables or anything they got to catch up on school-wise. Our practices kind of mirror the same, they're different drills, but kind of the same format. We warm up, we stretch, then we do like a post perimeter segment of practice. Then we work into some transition drills, and then really we don't do a ton of 5-on-5 throughout practice. We do different drills. They call it small-sided games, 3-on-3s, 4-on-4 type drills. And then towards the end of practice, we do some competitive stuff where we put guys in game scenarios, like down 5 with 2 minutes left, or different things like that. We'll try to work some game-like simulations in. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pretty much that same format. We used to lift after practice, but now with Coach Studer doing lifting in school, a lot of the guys lift there. So the guys that don't lift will get a lift in after practice throughout the week. Then Friday, game day, we go into, our pregame method is crazy. It's a lot going in there, getting guys, especially if we have a triple header like tonight, getting the freshmen their uniforms, getting them set up, JVs, varsity. We go through a varsity pregame at like 4 o'clock, just go through a scouting report, show some film. You guys get a chance to shoot. It's a lot going up to that 7 o'clock or 7:30 tip that behind the scenes stuff. It's chaotic, and by the end of the day, you're exhausted because it's like you don't get a break. And I have a lot of superstitions and little quirks at game days that help me stay focused. And we've talked about that with the team. It's too many to list, but yeah, so I think it's kind of a lot that goes into it. For that hour-and-a-half game that people don't realize these guys put a lot of time in. These kids have they watch film behind the scenes. Coaches are doing scouting reports, watching film late at night. We're talking to other teams, getting their films and watching it. Typical year, you go watch a team in person, but this year has been different. So you watch a lot of film and scout from the couch, so to speak. And it's been a different year, but we've adapted and we're doing our best.
Good. In a moment, we'll meet a Tiger player. But first, this word from Reliable Heating and Cooling.
Everything that goes into a Lennox system is engineered for absolute comfort. Like the parts that create your perfect temperature and humidity, or the parts that purify the air. Together, all these parts save you up to half off your heating and cooling bills. And there are few things more comforting than that.
The future of home comfort is here now at Reliable Heating and Cooling. Get the latest innovation and technology at Reliable.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
Thanks to Reliable Heating and Cooling. And welcome back to the Josh Ho's show. Our Tiger player this week is senior guard Nick Liebler. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nick, this is your third season playing on the varsity team. How have you grown as a player with both skill and mental side of the game?
I think just overall having always been on the varsity gives you a lot of experience. You learn the game, especially when it's faster. A lot of kids will tell you that from freshman level to JV level. Once you get to that varsity level, it's really fast. So when being on varsity for so long, you start playing to that level, being fast, and then you just pick up skills on the way as you continue playing throughout the years. So I became really good shooter throughout the years. And then, like I say, I'd be working on box outs, and then became a better dribbler this year because I'm more involved in the dribbling game now. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. You were a linebacker and running back on the football team again this year. How tough was it to go from football to basketball? And what's the most difficult part of that?
I would say the first 2 weeks of basketball when I first got there and we had our games, I was out of shape, I would say, because basketball is completely different to football. Football, you have you make a play, stop, you can get your breather, stuff like that. Basketball, it's constant. You're up and down the court running until either a foul or a timeout or the ball turnover. But so my first 2 weeks, it was rough. But once I got a lot more practices under my belt, I got more in shape. And then, later down the road, my game started to come down, shots would start falling, stuff like that, because football, you're playing with a different shaped ball, and then you come to basketball, and now you got to shoot that ball. So it was different, but having a great coaching staff, practices, all the football players that are on the team now are starting to get their game back, and our shots are falling down, so that was really good.
Yeah. With limited opportunities because of the pandemic, what did you do in the off seasons to make yourself better?
During the off season, it was really hard to even go out anywhere to go work out. So I would just have a couple friends come over. We would run basketball games in the driveway, just to do that. And then during my own time, I would go run around the block, stay in shape, make sure I was doing that type of stuff. Then I would do push-ups and here and there to keep my body in shape. But it was hard during that pandemic because everything was closed, so you had to do everything at home. So it was pretty difficult. But
what kind of personal goals did you set for yourself for the start of this season?
I always set that one goal is to stay healthy. I have problems. I got bad ankles. So I just like to go in every season with the main goal is just to stay healthy, always be ready for my team, always be ready for the coaches to put me in, because if you're not healthy, then you can't be ready. So I just always wanted to be healthy, so I'm always the first person that they need to be out there on the court.
Each year you've played on varsity. Your role has changed. What would you describe your role on the team this year?
I describe my role as trying to be more of a leader. Last year I was kind of leading vocally, but now I should lead. What should I say here?
More physically?
Yeah, physically, because I was more on the bench last year, talking to dudes, making sure they're doing this, making sure they know that. Now I'm actually on the court a lot. I have to physically show these guys listen, you got to be in this spot, this and that. We got to talk, make sure I got to hear you on my backside because I can't see. So it was more like that, just changing that right there, because I'm on the court a lot more than I was on the bench. When I was on the bench, I was telling the dudes out on the court, yelling and stuff. Now I'm on the court, I can move them. I can show them hey, I was boxing out this dude right here. I seen this guy come down, get him next time, stuff like that. But.
And finally, the team's record sits at 7-4. What are your expectations for this team as you move forward?
Just take one game at a time. 1-0 every day, as Coach Travis Allen would say. That's our huge goal, is just to go 1-0 every day. Not even look at the bigger picture. Just look at every single game we have and and then that record will show at the end of the day.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, Nick.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Coach Hose will return to the show after this timeout.
Hey, chat. Why do I wear a mask? Because when I'm not behind the screen, my mask is my cheat code. And when we stop the spread, we level up. What's the next level? Hanging with friends again. You're right, masks have always been a part of our community. I miss you guys too. Being face-to-face is truly the next level. Here's the cheat code. Stop the spread of corona. Mask up, America.
And welcome back to the Josh Hose Show. Coach, we just spoke with Nick Liebler. He's another player who has been on the varsity team the past 3 seasons. Tell us a little bit about Nick's game and his role with the team this year.
Nick, he's been fun to coach the last 3 years because he really struggled through a bad injury his sophomore year, and it stunk because I'll tell the story again. I mean, we were at a point where we're like, we got to play this kid more. And that game, as we're talking on the bus, is a game he gets hurt. And really bad ankle sprain and had to have surgery and didn't put weight on his ankle for like 6 months. And obviously we felt horrible for him, and then it affected his football season the next year. And you feel awful about that because that means a lot to him as well. And I even saw the lingering effects of that last year at his game, where he just was not back 100%. He was, but he wasn't. It's like you could just tell there was a difference in his movements and all that. And so he worked his butt off to get back to where he was at. And we're just proud of him to be, the player he was this year in football and basketball and having the year he's having. Nick's just a really unique kid. He jokes and calls himself a vet because he's had a lot of experience. And but he's been a great presence for us. He has a great energy to him. Like whether he was on the court last year, in the game, or sitting on the bench injured, or sitting just waiting for his time to sub in. I'd catch him like trying to mess with my head, like during timeouts or during. And I'd watch film. I'd see him back there playing games behind my head, just having fun on the bench, not goofing around, but keeping it lighthearted. But he's very engaged. He's a great teammate. He loves his team. Has been a leader for us that way. I challenged him in the offseason to be more of he was a physical presence for us last year inside. He'd play some post guys, and he would do some great things for a guy that's 5'11", being generous. I'll give him his hair as an extra couple inches there. But he would go in and battle guys that are 6'5" and do a great job. But I told Nick, I said, I see a better player in you than people see. And so this year, he's hitting some threes. He's handling the ball for us. He's playing inside and out. He's just playing a very versatile role for us, and it's huge. I mean, I don't think people appreciate how much he does for our team. The guys in the team do. They know the good screens he sets. They know the box outs that he gets so other people can get rebounds. He does a lot of things, as we watch on film with coaches. You notice like he does a lot of great things that people, if you just look at the box score or you just look at the product on the court, you don't always see it until you relook at it and see the little intricacies of his game. He does some great things for us.
I see you have a couple more games coming up this week. It starts with a road game tonight, as we're recording the show on Tuesday, with a game at Worcester. Share with us what you know about the Generals.
Well, the Generals are 7-0. They were 11-0 last year when we played them. We were able to get them here at home and beat them. So we're trying to do that again this year. But they're a really good team. They have a lot of guys back. They press you like crazy. They just want to make you play up and down. They play a fast, sloppy game. Not sloppy, but they speed you up to the point it gets a little sloppy. And so we got to be, we worked a lot on that yesterday. We got to be just calm, just kind of keep our poise. Play fast, but not in a hurry. We talk about that a lot, and our guys are ready to do it. And we faced a team on Sunday in Boardman that pressed a lot, and that really put you in some of those situations you'll face tonight. So, but they're a team that, like I said, they bring a lot of experience back. So we'll be interested to see how that adapts, to their experience from last year, where they came in here and we were able to beat them right at the buzzer to break their 11-0 record. And I think they'll be ready for us because of that. And so we got to come in and bring our A game, and our guys will be, like I said, they'll be excited for a good game. And we go in there and just again continue to grow on our new team, our new version of ourselves.
Then on Saturday night, you will be back home to battle Perry. How about a scouting report on the Panthers?
Okay, so the Panthers, we really haven't turned our attention to them too much because we had this big stretch of games we talked about earlier, with the 3 games in 6 days. But I do know about Perry is that they have Quentin Tolles is a really good point guard for them, and he kind of controls. He had to sit 2 games earlier in the year. I think he was out with COVID tracing or whatever. But they struggled when he was out. He is their guy. He is their engine that goes. And so, we got to really be ready for him. And, without Darian Williams being in, he was our guy that would guard those really good guards. Luke Sabo, Grant, Barry, they'll probably pick him up and do some things that it's going to have to be a team effort guarding him. But also you have some other guys on that team that, I can't pronounce one guy's name. I know it begins with an H. It's Hamedian, I think, or something like that. He's a really good shooter. And so you can't let those guys get going because you're focused so much on Tolles. And so Perry's kind of like us this year. They've won some games and lost a few close ones. I think they won 2 overtime games this weekend. So they're starting to figure it out a little bit. And they're really well coached. Coach does a great job over there. And we'll focus on that one after tonight. We'll start focusing on Perry and getting ready for Saturday, starting Wednesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. As we all know, the annual sectional/district boys tournament will start in late February. What are you hearing about the format of this year's tournament?
So there's been a change. So they're calling it like a super district. Some of the other districts in the area or in the state have done it. We were the only one that was not doing it. So we went from having like 13 teams in our district to now we'll have 37.
Wow.
And so they'll break it up into like 3 sections. So that's kind of exciting for the teams in our area to get away from each other. Like last year we were a 7 seed with 19 wins. Where we could have gone elsewhere and maybe been a higher seed, get away from some of the teams that we've already played. I know the Federal League coaches are excited to not have to play a team for the 3rd time, in a sectional or a district final. So that's a good thing. You may have to travel a little bit and go to Cleveland or Akron area, but most coaches you talk about, if it gives you a better matchup or an opportunity to get a postseason win, you'll hop on a bus and go an hour and a half, and it's not a big deal. So. But there's a lot of good teams in our district. As I looked at that list, it's not like you have like, this is going to be half of these games are easy wins, the rest of these are tough. No, it's just pretty stacked. Akron, Cleveland, and the Canton area is like, it's really a lot of good basketball teams.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Coach. As we wrap up another edition of the Josh Hose Show, we want to thank Reliable Heating and Cooling for being our season-long sponsor. Thanks to Coach Hose and Senior Nick Lieber for joining us this week on the show. I'm your host, Rachel Wesky. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Tigers.
Massillon City Schools is proud to have one of the top career technical education programs in the state of Ohio, recently receiving a #1 ranking of the 93 districts in the area of achievement. Our Career Technical Education Department offers 14 pathways preparing students for college and careers. All students have the opportunity to participate and compete in their career technical student organization, as well as obtain valuable experience in the field while earning aligned industry credentials and/or college credit in high school. Visit massillonschools.org for more information.